So, as you mentioned, the main objective for today is just kind of, well, first recap a lot of what we've already discussed. And majority of what we've been talking about is really around velocity bank. What is it? It's just simply a strategy. It's a strategy that's designed to assist you in either reducing debt, freeing up cash flow, or ultimately learning how to get multiple uses out of the same dollar. It is simply a strategy. I think this represents what velocity banking looks like very, very well. And that is, if done right, if you do this correctly, your cash flow will start to destroy and eliminate expenses. And as those expenses are eliminated, what ends up happening is your cash flow increases. And as your cash flow increases, yes, you are leveraging some tool that is generating or building interest over time. But as your cash flow increases, you're able to reduce the debt on that line of credit at such a rate that the interest being accumulated almost doesn't even matter. And this is a piece that I think is so very true as well. There's also these secondary benefits that if you do this right, there are points, there are cash back, there's these different vehicles that if you're using them correctly, it opens up these options or this availability to be able to leverage other things in addition to eliminating the debt. So I think this is a pretty good example of what velocity banking looks like when it's done correct. And in most cases, when you're learning about velocity banking, you have to kind of understand where you are. Like, how do you normally pay bills? In most cases, again, income comes in, goes into our checking account, and from our checking account, we pay our normal expenses and our debt. And then what's left over, our cash flow ends up sitting in this checking account. Maybe some of us might move some of those funds from that checking account to our savings, thinking, hey, it's going to do better for us in the savings account because we're gaining interest. But the moral of the story is this is the normal process of how most of us pay bills. The idea is, you know what? I'll go there. The idea is, okay, income is still going into the checking account, but we want all of our income to then be dumped onto a debt tool. And from there, we're going to pay bills to pay all of our normal bills, pay our expenses from that debt tool while recapturing all of that cash flow on that line of credit. What does that do? Well, as that cash flow sits on that line of credit, it reduces the cost. It reduces the interest being charged on that line of credit. It pays off the line of credit at a rate higher than just simply paying the minimum balance. And then ultimately, as room starts to be created on that line of credit, that room is now still accessible. It's accessible to you to be able to use multiple times over and over and over again. This is where we're able to get multiple uses out of the same dollar by allowing our cash flow to live on that debt tool, take advantage of opportunities outside of these products here, grow those funds, recapture that arbitrage, or create a spread on arbitrage type situation, recapture it and bring it back into that line of credit.
Being confused of how do I pay bills? How do I pay all of my bills from the debt tool? And do I have to pay everything from a credit card?
You're trying to do velocity banking, and majority of your bills are able to be paid from this debt tool. So majority of light, gas, cell phone. But there are a few bills that cannot, like your mortgage and maybe some insurance payment that you're trying to, for whatever the reason is, it cannot be paid through that line of credit. That's okay. Because I think you're absolutely spot on. People get wrapped up around, hey, I can't take action the way Donnell kind of broke it down inside of some example. So therefore, I must not be able to do velocity banking at all. When that's not true. Just because there may be some bills that cannot be paid by that line of credit, then what should I do? Then what I would do is I would pay these bills from my checking account as normal. So if my mortgage cannot be paid by a line of credit, I'm going to pay my mortgage from the checking account. But I'm only going to pay the mortgage from the checking account. I'm only going to pay the mortgage and this insurance payment from the checking account, meaning I'm going to leave enough in the checking account to address those bills. I may leave a little bit more to make sure I don't overdraft my checking account if that might cause a problem, some type of overdraft charge or something like that. So I'm going to leave just enough in my checking account to address the bills that have to be paid from my checking account. But everything else is going on to the debt tool. Everything else is going right here. Why? And again, I think at times I sound like I'm a guru. I don't feel that I am. because I know I speak differently as it relates to velocity banking. From my perspective, velocity banking is only about the debt tool. Velocity banking is not about paying a bill. Velocity banking is not about paying off your mortgage. Velocity banking is not about paying off a debt to me. Velocity banking is about making sure your cash flow is anything left over after bills are paid. So if you've got 5,000 coming in and you've got 4,000 worth of bills, and that could be a car note, electric, gas, internet, all of that grouped together, student loans, you make 5,000, you've got 4,000 worth of bills, you've got $1,000 left over. Where is that $1,000 living today? For most of us, it lives here. What I am saying is your cash flow living here does what? It drives the balance on that line of credit down by $1,000 every month. So if it's a $10,000 balance and you've got $1,000 of cash flow living on that debt tool every month, that balance is zero in 10 months, which means now you have an empty line of credit that you get to go pay other things from. So to me, velocity banking is just about your cash flow driving down the balance on the debt tool, and then you leveraging the debt tool to chunk away at other debt. So just because you cannot pay a certain bill from a line of credit or from the debt tool that you're using, that's okay. It's my question to you is, where is your cash flow going? Where does your cash flow live? And being very intentional on making sure your cash flow is going in one direction. And as it goes in that one direction, then we're going to leverage this vehicle to be able to address our debt. Even if that means as this cash flow starts to drive down the balance in this tool, we're going to then take a chunk from this tool and then pay off the mortgage. So even if I can't pay the mortgage by the debt tool itself, if the goal is to pay off my mortgage, I can still address the mortgage by still leveraging this vehicle and doing some type of either a convenience check or balance transfer. Like there are many different ways of going about it that may not be super, I'll call it efficient, but it can be done, is my point. So don't allow bills that cannot be paid from a debt tool to prevent you from being able to accomplish the true goal, which is driving down your debt. The key piece is, where's your cash flow?